My name's Roger Sowerbutts, as you can see. My background is as a commercial leader in software and IT companies, particularly the last 20 years in startups and scale-ups. So I've done 5 startups and scale-ups in the last 20 years or so, leading to exits. And generally what I do is I drive organizations to become repeatable, scalable, predictable sales and marketing engines, if you like, so that you can predict growth. So that's what I do. And in recent times, I've just started working with Ryan Purvis at ValuuExecs, looking for interim projects and looking to help startups and scale-ups working for ValuuExecs to realize those sorts of benefits.
What does digital transformation mean to you?
It's such a broad term and in some respects maybe a little bit overused. But in my mind, it means realizing key business benefits, automating processes, speeding up a business, putting in discipline, process, procedure, supported by IT software to realize business benefits. And they could be increased speed of activity, increased efficiency, whatever it happens to be, but measurable benefits in the end.
What are some of the key elements that you consider when setting your objectives and key results?
I think the key thing is determining what you're trying to achieve in the first place. So starting at the top, looking at what you're achieving as a business. Because I've seen lots of companies just kick off IT projects and then not really aligning them with the key business goals. So you've got to start with the business stakeholders, and that will be the board and the directors or executives of the company, and understanding the direction you're taking as a business and what you're trying to achieve. And any project have to support those objectives, because quite often you will potentially see IT departments going off and running projects independently before checking whether they actually line up with the business goals. So that's the most important thing to start off with.
How do you track progress and measure the success of your digital transformation projects?
If you know what your goals are, so let's say you've got a goal I'll pick one that's a bit close to home for me. If you've got a goal to grow your pipeline, for example, your sales pipeline, and you're looking to grow that pipeline and increase market share by winning more business in particular geographies, you would set goals against that, looking at pipe growth, size of deals, numbers of deals, maturity in the pipeline, then leading to how many sales you're meeting over time. And then you can break that down into time spaces, if you like, by month, by quarter, and you can track the growth in pipe, and then you can look at the conversion rate through sales. So you would actually be able to measure that. So that's the sort of thing. So you can actually track with hard data if you're progressing and if you're on track or off track. So that would be one example.
Can you share an example of a digital transformation project you have worked on and the key benefits it has delivered for your organization?
I'll pick one from a couple of years ago. I won't name the company because it's confidential, but I joined a scale-up as chief commercial officer. And that was head of sales and marketing globally, basically. So I was chief revenue and marketing officer. And this particular organization had grown, but almost by accident, really. And they didn't have any procedural processes in place in sales and marketing. So I looked at what they were doing, how they were organized, what tools they were using, what measures and metrics they had in place, how they were undertaking their sales and marketing processes to grow their top level pipe from sales qualified leads, MQLs, SQLs, all the way through to pipe, and then defining everything. So the first piece of work that we did as a team was to define all the stages in the pipe, specifically what each stage meant, because people bandy around lots of terms in business and sales and marketing like MQL, SQL, those sorts of things. And then putting IT systems in place, so particularly a CRM system. So in this instance, we put HubSpot in for both managing the pipe, managing the deals, putting the processes in place, ensuring that deals had specific definitions for each stage in the pipeline behind them, and that marketing was feeding the sales engine, and we were measuring it. So we started to put things through, and it's a bit like, I liken it to tuning a Formula One car. You make a few changes to the car, then you go out and drive it and you look at the lap times, but you don't change everything all at once, so you can never figure out why things either improved or got worse. So then we measured it systematically, and then we improved and fine-tuned. And then there's a lot of training of people as well. So there's training and coaching. It's not just a matter of flicking a switch on an IT system and expecting magic to happen. You have to go through the whole process with the team, get people into the process. You have to have weekly meetings. You have to go through the reporting and go through the metrics, and then check that you're moving in the right direction. And if you're not moving in the right direction, you need to change something. And then there's a level of experimentation in there as well, because sometimes things don't go according to plan. The marketing processes don't work. So that's where the creativity comes in, supported by the systems and the digital transformation. But over time, things do improve dramatically. So in this particular case, we grew the pipe by about 4 times in the course of a year. We decreased the sales cycles from sort of about 4 months to about 2 months, which was quite dramatic. We increased our close rate on business, and we increased our average order values. And then we became a lot more predictable, and we knew if we put £1 or $1 into marketing, we could more or less predict what would come out at the other end of the funnel. So then we could say we needed an increase of 200 or 300K in our quarterly marketing budget. We could show a return on investment for that money. So then you could justify investing more, hiring more people, and so forth.
What common challenges do organizations or your organization face when realizing business value from digital transformation projects?
I'd say 2 sides to this. So one side is a common theme I've seen is what I mentioned at the beginning, that often projects will be kicked off by either project leaders or people in IT or somebody in a niche part of the business without really thinking through in detail what the business objective and the goal and how it relates to the overall goals and objectives of the company. So that takes time, workshops, thinking through agreement to get the stakeholders on board. Because if the key stakeholders and the budget owners aren't really involved at the beginning, all they see eventually, if they're lucky, they might see some success. Great. If they don't, they just think, well, that was a waste of money. And then you lose trust and faith in the organization. So you have to get that piece right in the first place. Then you have to go and do the things I described, which is really carefully determining what processes you're trying to change, what the goals and metrics behind those processes are, how the systems you're choosing support those processes, and how the people in the organization are trained and measured and coached to deliver the benefits. And then the other side, the other thing that I see is lack of poor communication back to the stakeholders. That often is the case as well. So that has to be built into the process to show people what progress you're making. So people can say, oh, actually, yeah, we put this amount of money into this project. We can see what benefits we're getting now.
How do you address these challenges and ensure the benefits are realized?
Yeah, the key thing is set the goals at the beginning, set the objectives, smart objectives, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, with timelines associated with them. Get the buy-in of the stakeholders, get the project team together, make sure everybody knows what their roles are, and then make sure people who are using the system are really bought in as well, and they're trained to use them. Because I've seen down the years, even outside sales and marketing, I've been on the receiving end of having had IT done to me. I've been in companies where they'd put in complete new ERP systems, for example, but they haven't thought through some of the harm and damage it can do, ripping out systems, hurting existing customers, damaging your supply chain, all kinds of things. So I would say planning, preparation, training, all of that sort of stuff is really important right at the beginning. And then the execution and the communication is crucial to ensure success.